Are you turning healthy fruits into highly unhealthy fruits without even realizing it? Fruit can be one of the healthiest things you can put into your body, but the majority of Americans are guilty of making this single mistake that can counteract all of the health benefits of fruit. Some fruits can help with occasional constipation, reduce bloating, and even help burn calories. Others can wreak havoc on your digestive system and energy levels. In this viral presentation, world-renowned heart surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry showcases the 3 fruits to stop eating today. Go to thehealthyfat.com/inspired or click on the link in the description box below to learn the top 3 common foods that are the cause of your fatigue. Eliminating these foods could forever change the way we help increase energy levels, decrease brain fog, support digestion, and even lose weight. This video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/inspired. Are you turning healthy fruits into highly...
Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, it's Jean Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Inspired live stream. It is Wednesday, January 31st. Can you believe it? This month is almost over. The year 2024. All of this sounds quite incredible and unbelievable. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. The mantra of the Inspired live stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. To all our new members, it's wonderful to see you. To all original tribe members, so good that you're here with us. Everybody in the live chat on Rumble, on YouTube. Okay, we're going to step a little bit away from current events and news. Now, that's not to say that not a lot is happening that is report worthy. But I really, 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 really think that we need to talk about this subject today that I call the miracle of Washington, D.C. of 1993. And we're going to talk deeper or dive deeper into this principle. Yes, we could also talk about the Taylor Swift government PSYOP conspiracy theory. We could talk about the border, the trucker convoys on the way there, and we are going to talk about this more. We could talk about military action in Iran, but I think we had an extensive show on that yesterday. Today, I want to invite you to sit back. For those of you who've never heard this, this will be an amazing, I believe, piece of information. For those of you who have heard it, maybe it's a really good refresher. I'm talking about a study that was conducted in Washington, D.C. in 1993. A bunch of universities got together for that. They had the mayor on board. They had the police force on board. They had a lot of people on board. And what they wanted to do is show if there is a way, a quick way, actually, an effective way to reduce violent crimes. So this study was conducted in June and July of 1993. And the results are nothing short of amazing in the Western world for people who are not familiar with this. In other parts of the world, this is better known. What they did is they brought in a group of transcendental meditators. So people who are very familiar with and practiced in transcendental meditations. And they said they were going to do group meditations and observe. And they did a proper... they follow proper protocol for a study where they included all the other factors, which is important, like temperature plays a huge, believe it or not, plays a huge role in violent crimes, and even seasons and the moon cycle and all of that. So they included all of that in the study to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. Let's look a little bit into the facts of this study here. So this is the something known as the Maharishi effect. Now, this is named after the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, but it was known way before that. It just became known in the Western world as the Maharishi effect. And this is the DC study background. The study conducted in Washington, D.C. from June 7 to July 30 of 1993. It's a very short time span, by the way, to have the results they had. It was aimed to reduce violent crime through the Maharishi effect, brought approximately 4,000 participants to practice transcendental meditation and TMCD programs. Okay. So that's all they did. They meditated together. Then the National Demonstration Project to reduce violent crime and improve government effectiveness, it included a 27-member independent project review board that monitored the research. Okay, so these were not meditators. These were like the regular people you would find in a bureaucratic state, in the D.C. police department, in the city council and whatnot, that would just monitor the results of it. Weekly violent crime was measured by Uniform Crime Report Program of the FBI. So they took all the official stats that they had. Here are the results. Significant decrease in violent crime during the study period. Reduction in crime rate was in proportion to the size of the group practicing yogic flying. That's one way to put this. Study replicated in 80 U.S. metropolitan areas. So here's what they did. They got together. They practiced transcendental meditation, and they did it in various group sizes to see how the group size affects.
Oh, some say they have some say they don't have some.
Okay, so you have sound. Let me see. Some people say sound is gone. No sound issues here. We don't have any sound issues. No, not on our end. So the results showed it had an effect, and we're going to look at the effect that it had, right? Showed that it had an effect on violent crimes. But it also showed that the group size, if it is increased, has a bigger effect. So what effect are we talking about here? They call it the Maharishi effect, but really, what is it that has the influence on the people in a specific geographic area that is affected? What we're talking about here are consciousness fields, and we've talked about this often before. This is evidence. This is a full-blown study. This is a scientific study that showed up to 24.6% reduction in violent crimes because of a group of people getting together and practicing peaceful meditation. What does it do? It increases it raises the vibration. It raises the level of consciousness in that area. And if at a certain level of consciousness does not resonate with crime anymore. So 24.6%, so almost a quarter, almost 25% crime reduction by simply having a group of people meditate together, sharing the same intention. This is quite incredible. The significance, let's go into this, demonstrated the immediate and long-term effects of the Maharishi effect on crime. Findings independent of the influence of major demographic variables known to affect crime. This is important. This is what a real study is. Supports the hypotheses that TM programs, transcendental meditation, could reduce crime rate. Let's go a little further here. There was another study, and there were many of those, but let's look at the Lebanon study. The Lebanon study examined the relationship between the size of the group practicing the transcendental meditation and TMCD programs and the number of war deaths in Lebanon during the period of June 1983 to August 1985. So this was little over 2 years. Excuse me. The study found that when the size of the group reached or exceeded the square root of 1% of the population, there was a significant decrease in war deaths. The results showed a 76% reduction in war deaths on days when the group size was high. 1% of the square root of the population. Okay, so this is hard to do in your head unless you're unless you're a math genius. So I did the math for you. But let's just look at this number here. There was a 76% reduction in war deaths on days when the group size was high. 76%. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. The study supports the hypothesis that transcendental meditation and TMCD programs can have a positive effect on reducing conflict and violence in war-torn areas. There's a reason why I'm sharing this with you. We're going to get to that. But let's look at this here, the square root of 1%. Let's look at the current population of the United States. The current population of the United States is estimated to be around 341 million, 63 million for 428,000 people. I'm sorry, 341 million. 63,428. Sorry, I was in the billions. Okay, so roughly 341 million people in the United States as of January of 2024. Okay, what is the square root of 1% of that number? That's the group size needed to have a significant effect on whatever you're meditating on, by the way. But let's say on the United States, on a positive, peaceful path forward. It's 1,847 people. Let me repeat that for you. 1,847 people. That is the square root of 1% of the United States population. That is nothing. We have surpassed this number a long time ago. This is the reason why we haven't seen greater conflict yet. So the Maharishi effect is already in full force because there are vastly more people every day focusing on something positive, healing, peaceful, and good than 1,847 people. However, we are not nearly at a level where we are actually taking full advantage of this and where we are understanding what that really means. Calling it Maharishi effect might even turn off people that are of a different spiritual or religious background. And that's not what we want, because it is not about the specific religious belief. What this says, and I want to leave this number up just for a little longer. What this says is that if we understand prayer and meditation properly and practice it properly, we increase our positive effect and influence on our surroundings significantly. That is the message here. It also means that those who are practicing prayer, I don't know if the proper word is prayee, probably. The prayee needs to become the prayer. The meditator needs to become the meditation. And this is where we learn or remember how to pray properly. See, today, I believe a lot of people pray, but they pray because they're looking for the favor of the Creator. They're hoping that their prayer will be answered by the Creator, by God, and that would be God's favor, rather than activating God's favor that was already given within to become the prayer. God's favor was given. We all received a divine spark. So when we activate that divine spark and actually embody our co-creator status, then when we go into meditation and prayer, we actually can become the prayer, become the meditation. Now, this was also shown in the indigenous cultures, and a lot of people know this as the rain prayers, for example. And what they would do oftentimes together when there was a drought and when rain was needed, they would step into a very dry spot, and together they would pray rain, not for rain. They would pray rain. They became rain. They felt the rain. They literally became the prayer. And next thing you know, clouds appeared and it started raining. And that's the kind of power that we really have if we tap into it. So what could potentially happen if 1,847 people got together every morning in a trusted circle and meditated peace, meditated harmony, meditated freedom, meditated goodwill. I believe this is already happening, but I believe we can increase this effect significantly when more people become aware of this. Group prayer oftentimes has a much stronger effect than just one person praying. But how the prayer is conducted and what the people in the prayer feel and what state they put themselves in is most important. As I said, when the prayee becomes the prayer, that's when the effect starts to kick in. Why are we on the Inspired channel not doing group meditations on this channel? We were guided and have been guided, and it began a long time ago, to not conduct, this is going to be the wrong word, but uncontrolled public meditations. Uncontrolled in the sense that we have no personal knowledge of the people we're doing the meditation with. We don't know what their journey was. We don't know what their intentions are. And we have done group meditations in a controlled settings where we knew the group, where we had shared intentions, and where the effect was amazing. Like at our retreats at Yado, we have seen some absolutely unbelievable effects because of those group meditations. However, I do also know that if you have disturbing factors, because you have some very experienced meditators that are very experienced in occult and spiritual practices, they can hijack these meditations, influence them very negatively, and influence the participants negatively. So these things have actually a much higher level of responsibility than most people think. And that's why you didn't have within the indigenous cultures and indigenous tribes, you didn't have the invitation for everybody of the uninitiated, if you will, to join the prayer. That never happened. The one of the most trusted things, one of the most sacred things, was to be invited into ceremony, invited into prayer. You had to prove yourself first to do it. And so this is, for me, a really important. Christine and I never participate in online group meditations. We never facilitate them or participate in them for that particular reason. We do in person. We have facilitated in person, and we will. But here's the invitation. The invitation for you is to study this deeper and to also look at what happens when, for those of you who do pray, who do meditate, what happens when you get together with a group of people, 2, 3, 4, and when you practice shared intention, you will notice a level of coherence that will appear. That is what we experience at our retreats when 30, 35 people share one intention, and when the guidance through the meditation is clear. When 35 people achieve heart coherence, the field that is created, the field of consciousness, is absolutely amazing. I believe at our last Yado retreat, as far as I remember, we surpassed 900. So 900 on a Hawkins scale of 0 to 1,000 is pretty high up there. So we surpassed 900 at certain moments during the retreat because of this. On the Hawkins map of consciousness, 550 is unconditional love, just so to give you a sort of a point to relate to. We were above 900 at certain times. This is what is possible. The reason why this is important is because when we look at the current spiritual battle that we're in, and the kinetic battles that we're in, and the information battles that we're in, which are all real, by the way, there is an asymmetrical solution. It's not the singular solution, because this field that can be created and is created inspires people within the field to think differently, act differently, express themselves differently. That's really what happens. The field in and of itself isn't the ultimate solution. It inspires different solutions. This is why this is so important. This is also why we are such great big fans of FLFE and why we talk about it, because it is a helper. FLFE, focused life force energy, creates through this quantum technology a field, for example, around your home that they keep at 550 unconditional love. It doesn't mean you or me who are in the field are automatically at that level, but it is a potential around us that we can tap into without consciously having to do it ourselves. It's it's not a replacement for prayer and meditation, our personal development whatsoever. It is a helper, and that's why we love FLFE. So for those of you who haven't looked into it, we put the link in the video description about FLFE where you can learn more and how to try it for free. You don't need a credit card or anything like that, where you can just experience that field. This is why we're so why we have talked about meditation and prayer for such a long time, why we think it is so important. This is why the connection with nature is important, because when you're connected in what at least we perceive to be nature, with bodies of water or trees or grass or animals, your level of consciousness goes up. Now, here's the thing. The asymmetrical and exponential solution is consciousness. If the stream of consciousness remains fairly stagnant, you don't have any quantum leap solutions. We will just go down a path slowly. What is disruptive in a positive way and asymmetrical in a positive way is consciousness. So when we can create faster spikes in level of consciousness, when we can create more heart coherence between groups of people, we create quantum leap asymmetrical solutions, which could mean potentially the abrupt end of a conflict situation and the abrupt inspiration for different solutions. It could even end a war. I do believe that. I do believe it could end a war immediately. I think it has that potential. But the first thing that needs to happen is that this knowledge needs to re-enter the public awareness. So people need to share this. The beautiful thing is that these studies, as a matter of fact, I'll just share a link with you here in the live chat, and I'll include it also in the video description. These studies are officially accessible, and they for the, let's say, the mass perception, for the normie mind, if you will, and I don't mean this in a condescending way, but people that are, that look at, the universities and look at mainstream science for confirmation. Mainstream science, mainstream universities confirm this. They confirm this effect. A scientific study, more than one, confirms this effect. We have the same, by the way, in the health arena. What happens when a group of practiced meditators meditates around a person that is, for whatever reason, sick and requires healing? We have seen tremendous effects on that. General well-being, same thing. Even financial prosperity. Now, all these things have a high level of responsibility attached to them. We need to become really, really responsible when we tap into these most beautiful gifts that we have and not misuse or abuse them, right? Because that's what people, when they don't reach a certain level of maturity, they try to misuse these practices and these techniques to simply, for their own gain and to the detriment of others. So one of the mission statements of our work here, and one of the mission statements, for example, of the whole organization that is FLFE, is for the highest good of all. So everything that is done needs to be for the highest good of all. If it doesn't fulfill that statement, it shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be done. even if it would benefit 75% of the people. It needs to be ultimately for the highest good of all. What can you do with this information? Study it deeper, share it with your friends and family. These are official studies. It's really cool to share this. Practice. Prayer and meditation is first and foremost an intimate conversation with the divine. When that intimate conversation becomes more normal, more connected, and you feel more connected, then it can become a joint conversation for the highest good of all. And that's where these things come in. That's where group meditation comes in. Please, I encourage you, honestly, I rarely say don't do this or do that. I would encourage you to be very vigilant when it comes to online group meditations. I'm not saying that the initiators have any ill will or bad intentions, but when you open the field to everybody, not knowing who's going to enter, it's very risky business that I don't go into that. So, but when you're in a room with 20 people that you know, that you've practiced with, that you know their hearts, you know their intentions, wow, that's powerful. That's really, really powerful. And I want to remind you, what was it? 1,847 people. That is what it takes for a nation like the United States to have 1,847 people in coherence and unison, meditating on peace, love, harmony, freedom, truth, to have a significant effect on the whole. That to me is extremely encouraging. And I hope and I pray that this information enters all spheres of the alternative media, of the truth seekers, of the freedom seekers, that we can connect this with the knowledge in the Christian traditions of the power of group prayer, but really understand it's not just the words that we say. It's when we become the prayer and say the words accordingly, rather than asking. We are that which we ask for. We become that which we ask for in that instant. That is the key element. So I wanted to share this with you because moving forward, when we look at all the information that we look at, which is important to do, we need to include this in our solution process. This is the foundation. That's why I would encourage everyone to use all the help we can get. FLFE is an amazing avenue for help. It has that EMF mitigation. It just creates a field that allows you to sleep better, function better, heal better. So many positive effects. And the beautiful thing is it's something that you don't have to invest personal energy into every day. So it's just going to increase everything else that we do. So just give it a try. If that speaks to you, give it a try. Links in the description. But study this effect. Study meditation, study prayer, go deep, and watch what happens. We have to be absolutely excellent on all fields right now. There's no excuse not to be. And I'm saying this to myself just as much as everybody else. When I fall short where I know I shouldn't, I have to be disciplined. I have to be disciplined. Say, this is important. Let's show up for this. Let's become the best possible version of ourselves. Let's become master prayees, master meditators. Let's take care of our temples properly. Let's take care of these beautiful bodies properly. And then let's take care of each other properly. Let's share kindness. Let's share love, but also firmness. You do not leave your position because it is challenged. That is the opposite of for the highest good of all. Standing strongly in the energy of truth, even when challenged, even when attacked. That is the true spirit. You don't have to do it with hatred in your heart, but with firmness. See, I see things a little different than, for example, Gandhi did. And I don't even want to even go into any of the controversies, just what is publicly known to most people about him. But that man, as much as he was never using physical violence, in all other areas of his beingness. He was a fierce man. He was a fierce man. He was also very, very disciplined, but fierce and absolutely not giving up an inch. And this is what we need to understand finally. The spiritual community, the spiritual movements have been infiltrated, and the message has been turned upside down. And so spiritual people, when they discover their true spirituality, have been told that they shouldn't ever go into some sort of confrontation or conflict, that's not spiritual. Bullshit. That they should never be in the line of defense. Bullshit. That's practical spirituality. We need to walk and chew gum at the same time. So, to give you a visual, I have no problem going into deep states of meditation and having a tool for self-defense in a nightstand at the same time. I have no problem with that. Those two things are not in contradiction in my world. I do know that my deep meditation and yours and the prayers and the actions of millions of people will eventually lead to a world where we won't think about weapons, rockets, and all the other tools anymore. That's what we're ultimately going into. That's in the future. So, that being said, we're keeping our heads and our hearts beautifully in the field, and we also have to keep our feet on the ground. It's very important. That's the balance. That's the balance that we need to walk every day. That's what I call practical spirituality. Thank you for tuning in. I encourage you to study this deeper. Very, very important. And I want you to keep this number in mind and calculate it for your own nation, your own group, your own community. It takes 1,847 people to have a significant positive influence on the entire United States. That's quite beautiful, isn't it? That's amazing. That's good news. All right, my friends. Much love. Many blessings. Save this live stream. Share it. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon.